Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be painting a Gundam Barbatos from start to finish. But first of all I want to say a huge thank you to my YouTube channel sponsors Goblin Gaming. If you check the description box down below, you'll find a direct link to Goblin Gaming's web store, and this direct link directly helps my YouTube channel every time you purchase anything from that link. I also want to say a massive thank you to my Patreon supporters. I've recently joined Patreon and I've already got 20 supporters. I'd love to get more supporters on Patreon guys, so if you really enjoy this tutorial and you want to support me, head on over to the link in the description box and you can find out more information on my Patreon channel. Okay guys, as always this is going to be a really long video, so go grab yourselves a nice hot drink or maybe even a cold beer and we'll get started. If you're new to the world of Gunpla guys, the kits are similar to Games Workshop kits or wargaming kits in general. All the parts come on what are known as runners. You may know them as sprues, but you just clip them off and you put the kits together, very similar to a normal kit that you've been used to working on. The difference is that you don't glue these together, they just clip together very cleverly. And also the runners are multicolored, so you can actually put these kits together without painting them and they'll still look pretty good, but when you paint them they really come to life. In this video you'll see that I'm speed painting, and what I mean by that is I'm actually going to be painting all the parts on the runners and I'm going to be following the colour scheme of the actual sprues. So all the yellow parts will be painted yellow, all the red parts will be painted red, and all the blue parts will be painted blue, and so on. The only thing that you'll see different is that all the grey sprues are going to be painted with a metallic finish, as I want the inner armour to look really cool and metallic. I have to stress guys that this is by no means the best way to paint a Gunpla kit, but it is the fastest. I managed to paint this kit from start to finish, including building it, in about 5 hours in one day. Now that would be nearly impossible to do if I was painting all the parts separately off the runners. After separating the colour parts of the sprues, I'll start to prime using Vallejo polyurethane grey primer. I'm careful not to colour the whole of the sprue in, just in case I forget what colour it was, so I leave a little bit on the outside of the runners so I know that it's going to be painted yellow. Here you can see I'm doing exactly the same thing here. I'm priming all of the dark grey sprues, or runners if you like, in the polyurethane grey primer. After priming most of the runners, I'm now coming to the white armour parts. and I've decided to do a little bit of a cheat here to save time. So I'm creating a custom dark grey colour using Vallejo Game Air Black and Vallejo Polyurethane Grey Primer in a 50-50 mix. So I'm priming in dark grey basically, which saves me coming back in with another grey colour. After priming all of the runners, I'm going to start painting. I'm going to be using Vallejo Metal Colour Gunmetal. The new metal colour range are absolutely fantastic. They're super thin and spray out of pretty much any airbrush without thinning. They go down super smooth and they leave a great finish. Here I've dropped my PSI down to 20 PSI. I was priming at 30 PSI as the polyurethane grey primer is quite a heavy paint, so the thinness of this paint and how I'm spraying it is at a lower PSI of 20. After letting the gunmetal dry for about an hour, I'm coming back in with aluminium. I'm using this just to highlight the metallics and create a higher sheen to the metal finish. Again, I'm working at 20 psi and I'm just working with the aluminium in the centre of the panels and the tops of the panels, and I'm leaving the gunmetal behind in anywhere that I see a recess or an area where I think it'd be a darker metal colour. Now I'm coming back in with Vallejo Model Air White on all of the runners that were painted in dark grey primer. I'm looking at all of the centre of the panels and leaving the dark grey behind in any of the recesses, and this is going to leave a really cool effect. Here again you can see that I'm just working around the grey panels with a white Vallejo Model Air paint. It's important to note that I'm working really slow here, even though the video footage has been sped up a little bit. I'm taking my time, but even so, painting on the runners makes life so much quicker. After painting all of the white armour parts, I'm coming in and I'm painting the yellow armour parts. I'm using Avalon Sunset from Games Workshop, which is a deep yellow colour. The blue armour parts are going to be base coated with Vallejo Game Air Imperial Blue. Vallejo Game Air Magic Blue is going to be used to highlight, and again I'll be focusing on the centre of the panels and leaving the Imperial Blue behind in all of the recesses and all of the areas where I feel a natural shadow would be formed. The red armour parts are going to be base coated in Gory Red from Vallejo Game Air. Vallejo Game Air Bloody Red is used in the centre of the panels to highlight the red. After finishing all the armour panels, so that's all the white armour, the red, the blue, the yellow and the metal, everything is finished and ready to build. But it's important to note that I hit all the sprues with a hairdryer for a good 10-15 minutes, and then I left them to dry for another hour or so before cutting them off the runners. It took me about 2 hours to build the kit in total, and maybe less than that, to be honest. It's a real simple kit to build, this 1/100 no grade Barbatos kit, and I highly recommend this type of kit if you're just getting into gunplay. Here I'm coming in with some Vallejo Model Air White on some of the areas that I didn't touch up too well on the runner, so I'm just coming back in, highlighting all of the grey with the white and making sure that those armour panels really pop and stand out. I realised that the yellow, I'm not sure what you call this, so I'm just going to call it his boomerang spike, wasn't highlighted, so I'm coming back in with some Vallejo Model Air White and just hitting the tips of the spikes with the Vallejo Model Air White, and then I'll come back in with some Vallejo Game Air Gold Yellow. Here I'm painting the signs on the legs with some Vallejo Game Air Bloody Red, which is already quite thin, but I thin it down a little bit more to make it easier to get into those grooves. Taking your time and a steady hand helps a lot here, guys, but don't worry if you go over the grooves. you can come back in with some Vallejo Mod Layer White and touch up the areas that you go over. And also we're going to be doing some weathering as well, guys, which is going to hide any accidents or mistakes that you make. So don't worry too much if you don't get the red markings completely clean. Here you can see that I made a few little mistakes. I've come back in with some Vallejo Mod Layer White and I'm just touching up some of the areas that I didn't want the red. There's many different ways of weathering your kits. In this video we're going to be weathering the very quick way, and we're going to use a sponge to sponge chip. In some of my previous Gunpla tutorials I've actually done hand chipping with a paintbrush, which is a lot more accurate but a lot more time consuming. Here I'm using a sponge dipped in Games Workshop's Rhinox hide, and I'm just getting rid of most of the Rhinox hide on some kitchen roll, and then I'm just dabbing around all the edges of the armour panels where natural chips would occur. It looks like I'm being very random, but I'm not. I'm picking areas where I think the chips would occur, and that's where I'm touching the sponge onto the armour plates. To get the chips looking really authentic and realistic, I recommend ripping the sponge up really small. I also recommend practicing the chipping pattern that you're going to get on some tissue paper or some paper. Make sure that when you're actually chipping, you're getting a random pattern. If you've got too much paint on the sponge, you'll get real big splodges and they'll look out of scale and unrealistic. You want the chips to be very, very tiny. I mentioned earlier in this video that this is a speed paint, and it really is a speed paint. Painting on the runners, building the kit, and then weathering in this manner is really fast. And the cool thing about chipping up the Gunpla kit is it's going to hide any mistakes that we've made or any nub marks that we've been left behind with from cutting the parts from the runners. So what I like to think of it as is like a happy accident. You're actually making these cool chips and they're covering up all your sins. We're going to be adding some streaking effects, but I'm not actually going to be streaking. I'm going to actually be thinning down the streaking effects with some odorless thinner. You can use white spirit, and I'll be creating my own custom wash. This will be a lot quicker than adding streaks and then pulling the streaks out by thinning or stumping. So creating this custom wash is going to be a really quick and effective way of weathering our Barbatos kit. Here I'm filling out all the wash around all the cracks and crevices, around all the armour panel edges and panel lines, and any areas where I think some cool rusty effects will look good on the kit. As you can see guys, the effects really starting to build up now, and in some areas the effects built up too much, which is not a problem because this is an enamel based product. We can come back in with thinner afterwards, and we can remove some of the unsightly stains that have been left behind, and we can actually get rid of some of that streaking effect, or as we've made it into a wash, we can remove it with a thinner. Here you can see I've added some thinner into the pot, and I'm going to come back in now with a clean brush, and we're going to start removing some of that streaking effect colour, rust streaks, and we're going to start stumping away those stains and cleaning up some of the rust effects in areas we don't want. Okay guys, I have to confess, the video that you've seen most the way through, if someone spotted it, the waist section was actually put on the wrong way. I've corrected it now guys, but just in case someone puts it in the comments field down below, yes, I did realise that the waist was the wrong way round in the end. But I had an absolute blast painting this guys. It's been at least a year since I've worked on a Gunpla kit, and I strongly advise anyone to pick up a Gunpla kit. Start off with the RE lines or a high grade kit, and then work your way up to the master grade kits or the really detailed PG kits. Again, I'd like to say a huge thank you to my YouTube channel sponsors, and again my gratitude really goes out to all my Patreon supporters. This tutorial is dedicated to you guys, to be quite honest. I wouldn't have actually done this tutorial or got back into Gunpla if it wasn't for the kind comment I got from one of my Patreon supporters. So a huge thank you, and if you want to join me on Patreon and start pledging your support, I'd be very, very grateful indeed guys. And lastly, please put a comment in the comments field below. Do you collect Gunplas? Do you paint Gunplas? Are you thinking of getting into it? Is this something new and totally awesome to you? Let me know in the comments field down below, guys. Really want to hear your thoughts on this. And lastly, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.